Welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm Bryant Balcom from inside Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg, Virginia. He's publisher Andrew Jones. We've got you covered with another edition of Three Things, this time following UNC's 91-59 win over Virginia Tech. The Tar Heels improved to 20-11 overall, 13-6 in ACC play. Ian Jackson led the way with 19 points. 5 Tar Heels scored in double figures. But before we get into the action, AJ, remind our viewers how they can win free THI for a year.
Yeah, we're giving it away. We are giving away free THI to you. Some of you out there who have never been on our site before, you go check it out, TarHeelIllustrated.com. We post at least 3 things every day of the year. We constantly work. You can have access to everything we do by simply doing this. Right here on our YouTube channel, click subscribe if you haven't. If you do that, then you enter into a pool of candidates that are going to win free THI. We're giving 2 people 2 years of THI. It's a $100 a year value. It's really a lot more value than that, but that's what it costs. And it's been the same price for a long time. On Facebook, go ahead and follow us there. We're going to give, then you'll enter into a pool to win free THI. We're going to give away a few there. And then on Twitter/X, go ahead and follow us as well. We're going to do the same thing. We've got goals of 12,000 followers on Facebook, 20,000 here on YouTube, and 40,000 on Twitter. Once we meet those goals, we are going to randomly choose people to give away a lot of free THI. So do it. Do it. Tell your friends to do it, especially with this channel. Tell your friends that we're here. A lot of people don't know we're here, so tell them to come on over to this channel and comment below. I've really enjoyed the comments being open the last month. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of real smart Carolina fans to interact with, so I'm glad we did it. We waited a long time. Shame on me, but hey, I corrected her wrong. So, and you could also interact with us with even more detailed stuff if you're on our message board. So go ahead and follow, subscribe, and maybe you win some free THI and you have access to absolutely everything we do.
Absolutely. And we'd love to hear from you guys. But back to the game and the 3 things at hand. This for UNC, and you mentioned this beforehand, trap game, that term gets overblown. It gets used way too much, but this was kind of the definition of that for UNC. And it looked like over halfway through the first half, that could potentially be the case. And you see the final score, a 32-point win. It looks like it was a dominant win, in which it was. But with 7:44 remaining in the first half, UNC was trailing 23-21. And then, like they've done so much lately, those 8-2 runs they had at the beginning of the year are turning to 10, 12, 15-point runs. UNC closed the first half on a 25-6 run, and that blossomed into a 48-12 run in which the UNC offense just couldn't be stopped by Virginia Tech. I mean, some of these numbers, 17 for 24 over that 48-12 stretch, including 6 for 10 from 3. They scored 15 of the last 16 points in the first half. I mean, UNC went from trailing by 2 to at halftime. The game was seemingly out of reach for Virginia Tech, and it was like they just flipped the switch, and it was all basically over just like that.
Through the Clemson game, they didn't really have many big runs, and I talked to the players about how do you go from 8-2 to 12-2. As simple as that. But what they've done is they've just done it on steroids here, where in the last couple of weeks they've had a 31-9 run, a 29-7 run, a 21-2 run, a 25-6 to close the first half today, and that turned into 48-12 spanning both halves. They went up by 34. They turned it in a 2-point deficit into a 34-point advantage, and they did it pretty quickly and very impressively. There wasn't one box they didn't check during that whole time. So people can talk about the competition, and I get it. And I know that a lot of the comments on here are going to be people who see the video title, don't watch, and just comment, well, look who they're playing. We acknowledge that. Mm-hmm. We acknowledge who they play, but they weren't doing this before. Nope. They weren't having these kinds of runs before. They're doing it now. They're doing it in other people's buildings. They're doing it against power conference competition. It's the lower end of it right now because the ACC is pretty down. But to go from where this team was when everybody watching went to bed after the Clemson game, and when I drove home from the Clemson game, I got home at 6 o'clock in the morning, where the team was that day, what we've seen since then was on nobody's radar. Nobody's radar whatsoever. There isn't a person alive who thought, you know what, I think they're going to go on a run where they kick the crap out of everybody. Nobody was thinking that. Most people were thinking, man, if they go 3-3 in these next 6, I'll be happy. No one was thinking NCAA tournament. That was not anywhere in the discussion at any table, any water cooler, any bar stool, anywhere in North Carolina or in this country. Most people thought they were done. I thought they were done.
Agreed.
They have completely flipped the switch, and an indication that this team is on all points, especially when it has the ball, or getting the ball into quick points, are these runs. The one tonight was, I mean, they took the absolute soul out of Virginia Tech. I don't want to say Virginia Tech quicks. I don't think that's fair because I don't know. But they were beaten into submission to the point where it looked like they quit. In fact, one of the writers sitting next to me said, Carolina looks like they're in 1,000 times better shape, because what you saw there was spirit versus deflation.
Mm-hmm.
They completely deflated Virginia Tech, who probably didn't have a whole lot coming into the game anyway. It was 23-21, and it looked like the Tar Heels were not respecting their opponent. They weren't playing very well defensively. They were almost playing as if we're 150 points better than you, so I'm just going to do stuff and score. Sort of when that really good player plays Sunday pickup, and he looks kind of average because he makes a lot of mistakes because he's trying to show off how good he is. And I kind of thought there was an element of that, but Elliott picked up his second foul. It was not a smart foul. He goes to the bench. I do think that there's a correlation because I believe that lately this team is better when RJ's at the point. And that doesn't mean, that's no slight to Elliott. He had 12 assists tonight.
Yeah, he had half of UNC's assists.
I just think that they're good when Elliott's on the floor. They're even better when RJ is the point guard because it gives you the Trimble or Ian Jackson element out there. And we saw what Trimble did tonight. He was the igniter of that run. He's the guy that gave that run all kinds of lather. That block shot, and he got rewarded on the other end with the bucket, which was a great play. The awareness of this team during that stretch is awareness we did not see even when they shot well and played well before Clemson, up to Clemson. We didn't see this kind of awareness. We didn't see this kind of ball movement. We didn't see a ton of catch and shoot threes. And we're seeing them all the time now. So the reason this 48-12 run encompasses all the good things this team could do because they were in there. Just like against Miami when they had the run, just like against Virginia, just like against NC State, and so on. They go on these runs, and they're out-rebounding the opponent big time. Mm-hmm. They're getting deflections and turning it into fast break points. Bunch of different guys are scoring. They're hitting threes. They're playing inside, outside. And there's a lot of assists connected. I think 18 of their first 24 buckets had assists connected to them. And a lot of that stuff was going from good to bad. Passing up a good shot, going from good to great, passing up a good shot to get a great shot. And sometimes if it's just in transition and guys going to the bucket, that's that. They come out in the second half to continue that run, and it was child's play. This was, I know the Hokies aren't very good, but they were 8-10 in the league, whatever that means. They were 0-7 against ACC teams that are 500 or better. Now they're 0-8. But Carolina beat them by 32 in their building. Mm-hmm. Carolina, like North Carolina, man. I don't want to go too far because I recognize the competition, but they have demolished the competition. And it looks like they're getting better by a healthy notch each time they take the floor. And that run synopsizes all that can be good about this team right now. And I asked I asked Hubert if it was their best stretch of the season. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He said it was really good. I asked, I think Ian said it was their best. I think Seth said it was their best stretch as well.
It's just all around good basketball, particularly on the offensive end. And one thing I want to highlight from not just that run, but the entire second half, UNC, from the start, even with RJ Davis, was just connecting from three-point range. Season high 15 threes. And it's not a one-off. This team has slowly gotten better over the course of the last 3 or 4 games, made double-digit threes in 3 straight games. Fun fact for you guys out there, that is just the first time since the 2022 NCAA tournament against Marquette, Baylor, and UCLA that UNC made 10 or more threes in 3 straight games. So it's something we haven't seen from this UNC team in a while. I mean, they made a season high 15 tonight on just 28 attempts. 7 different Tar Heels made threes, which was tied for the most under Hubert Davis. And it didn't seem like who didn't matter who was taking the 3-pointers, and they were going in and they were getting good looks too, but just knocking them down and really just looking confident from 3-point range, which is something that has not been the case for UNC for much of this season, really.
And there's a reason. There are a few reasons why they're shooting better from just strictly a basketball standpoint. They're getting more stuff inside, so it opens up a little bit more room for lesser contested 3-point shots. On top of that, the awareness has been really outstanding for the last 6 games now, 6 games in a row with this win streak. I mean, their fewest points, I think, were 81, and they've been upper 80s and above for the rest of them. They scored 90-plus points 3 straight games, 4 out of the last 5. And the streak started with getting 88 points up in Syracuse.
So 2 points away from getting 90 there.
Well, they hit 13 threes there. They've had 13 or more threes in 3 of the 6 games during the stretch. In fact, they were 15 and 28 tonight. They were 10 of 18 against Miami. So in the last 2 games, they're 25 or 46 from 3. But I'm going to go further. And during the 6-game win streak, they are 65 for 136 from 3. That's 47.8%. It's not just like 3 guys. You know, when they rain threes in the 2022 season, because people like to compare this team to that team, which I don't think makes much sense, but there are a couple of similarities more just in how they're closing the season. But that meant that Brady, RJ, and Caleb were going off.
Yep.
They hit 7 guys. Jalen Washington gets one over in the corner. We've seen him hit top of the key threes, very comfortable from the corner. Where you and I stand out there watching them in warm-ups a lot, Bryant, and he's always stroking from the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Tyson hit another one. It was late, but he still hit one. Jay Witt was 1 for 5. Outside of Jay Witt, they were 14 and 23. So he had a pedestrian night, but Ian was 5 for 6, RJ 3 for 4, Drake Powell 3 for 4. So many of them are catch and shoot. I asked Hubert about the awareness and the catch and shoot aspect, that they're not having to dribble and gain separation and take a shot. When he went bigger, it changed everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You can bitch and moan all you want about, well, you should have done it sooner. Can't change what happened. Can't change the first 25 games. But the last 6, he went bigger. And yes, they're beating bad teams, but they're beating the snot out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they won 6 in a row, and they had to hit free throws late to salt this thing away. This game was over before halftime. The body language is bad. There were some people. We have like an elevated spot behind one of the baskets here on the side of the court where Carolina's bench was, and there's just a row of people sitting at a railing in front of them. Some of them showed up late, and those very same people left at halftime. They watched like 14 minutes of basketball, and they said, this ain't happening. So shooting from the perimeter, getting wide open looks, the skip passes. I think Ian had a skip pass to Drake on the other side of the corner from one corner to the other for a 3. The extra pass, they were swinging the ball around the perimeter a lot, the catch and shoot stuff. How many of Ian's threes were catch and shoot? And when did Ian get catch and shoot threes in November and December? Not many.
Mm-mm.
He's getting them now. And when he does the catch and shoot thing, it's pretty. It's nice. It's got a nice release. It's a very comfortable looking shot. So Seth hit one tonight. Seth's back to hitting some threes again. I can't expect them to continue shooting like this. Nobody shoots like this forever. And they're going to need to shoot like this Saturday night to have a chance to beat Duke.
Most definitely.
And they're going to need to they're going to need to have runs, because Duke's going to have runs. So they're going to have to figure out ways to get runs. We'll deal a lot more with that as that one comes. But what they've done is, by showing they have the ability to put foot on throat, which lacked for 3.5 months. We saw that again tonight. And now they're not just making threes, they're getting good looks. They're creating good looks for one another and then finding each other. There's a tremendous connection that you can see with so many of these threes. And even when there was a missed one, I thought a play that really shows you where this team is as far as being connected and how they're seeing everything. It's like when a batter is seeing
Beach
a
ball.
watermelon or a beach ball coming to home plate instead of a pea. You're knocking everything all over the place. Seth attempts a three right before the end of the half. Carolina kind of bungled up possession when he recalled a timeout. Lubin gets the rebound right over here, takes a dribble to get in position, sees Seth cutting, beautiful feed, and Seth dunks. And then a half second later, the horn sounds as halftime. To me, before when they would take threes, they were not in position to rebound the threes.
Mm-hmm.
They did miss and it'd go the other way. They're getting stuff. They're in spots now when they used to not be in spots. And a lot of those spots are on the perimeter where they find a little crease or an area. And they're open and they get found and they hit threes. And when you got 7 different guys hitting threes and the team shooting as well as they are, and a lot of different guys scoring, it's 6 double figures FSU, 6 double figures Miami, 5 tonight. Defenses have to pick their poison. You could sell out on one guy, but then that guy hits a couple shots. You got to pay a little more attention to him, and somebody else starts hitting shots. It's impressive what they've done. I don't care who the competition is. They've played very, very well. They have been better against this competition, I think, than they're getting credit for.
I 100% agree. And part of that, we'll get to what this means, but one thing I do want to talk about, and part of that is just UNC's rebounding. They have 35 or more rebounds in the last 6 games over the course of this winning streak, and they have just been dominant on the glass. They only had 7 second chance points tonight, but that's been something that they've been using to get those open looks from 3 that we talked about and just get the separation from teams that they hadn't previously had. And tonight, out-rebounded Virginia Tech 38-27. Just a different team on the glass, and something that we've seen these last 6 games that we have not seen at all this season.
Yeah, I'm looking up a stat, so I'm destroying people right now with my glasses on. They only missed 23 shots. Now, 7's not a great number, but when you're shooting 6 trillion%, who cares, right?
Yeah,
I mean, who cares is the line now. Hubert threw that one out there a week and a half ago, and it stuck. The rebounding, they were plus 11 tonight. In the last 5 games, they're just under plus 14 per game. So this is a club that when they left Syracuse, they were about number 200 in the nation in rebound margin. Now they're inside the top 100. And that's a heavy climb in a short period of time this late in the season.
For this late in the season.
So I asked Hubert about that. He had mentioned rebounding and stuff. And I said, the numbers are what they are, but what does it reflect? Does it reflect more want? Is there something technical, fundamental about, hey, they're boxing out more efficiently now. They're holding the box out for 2 seconds instead of 1 second, that kind of thing. Are they identifying bodies and getting to them quicker? Whatever the case may be. Is it because you're playing bigger? That's part of it. He just said it's want. So you go look at the runs that we talked about at the beginning of this. That doesn't happen if there's not want. You go talk about the threes. Roy used to talk about having the toughness to knock down open shots. And there is a toughness to it. There's a mental toughness. So there's a want there. There's a want and a confidence. And now with the rebounding, there's a want and a confidence that they're going to get balls. They're going to get defensive rebounds, and they're going to pitch that thing up court and get into transition. And they know that to be the team they want to be, to have the kind of theatrics offensively that they have displayed, they've got to get a lot of rebounds. Mm-hmm. So when you're going on massive runs, when you're shooting lights out from the perimeter and you're beating people plus 10 on the boards, it's 5 straight games they've been plus 10 or better in ACC play for the first time in program history. Think about that.
Especially for UNC teams that traditionally have 2 big men or do play bigger, this team has been criticized for their lack of size, and that stat makes you kind of scratch your head, but it goes to show.
Yeah, and Bryant, you're right. And you know what? We got to give Hubert Davis some credit here. Hubert kept saying all year, it doesn't matter how big you are. Rebounding isn't as much size as it is want. The Tar Heels didn't get taller. in the last 3 weeks. They're playing bigger, but they still didn't get taller. They had a long stretch tonight where Drake was at the 4. And they're just grabbing everything. Guards are getting boards, pitching the thing ahead. And when they get rebounds, they're looking up court. Jay Wash got a rebound in front of me right over here. He went up and grabbed it, and he's turning as he goes down. He's already looking up court to get rid of that thing. That's North Carolina basketball. All the Dean people, all the Roy people that watch those great teams for years, that's Carolina basketball. So they are showing some really good signs. It doesn't mean that this club is going to make the NCAA tournament and make a run. It doesn't mean it means nothing about what's in front of them. It means nothing. It just means that in the last 6 games, they have looked more and more like North Carolina. North Carolina is all about rebounding, right? Yes. North Carolina is all about foot on throat runs, right? Yes. North Carolina is all about getting good looks and unselfishness, sharing the ball, great recognition, leading from good shots to great shots. That's what we're talking about tonight.
Yep.
And that's what this team did. And what it means is they are getting better by a very fast rate. That locker room tonight was the loudest locker room I've heard in the regular season in quite some time. Now, it was pretty loud at Duke last year when Cormac went crazy, but we weren't as close. We're right there. And you can go listen to player interviews, listen to Ian, and listen for most of Seth. You can hear guys singing. And I'm asking questions like, when the worst singer on the team is the loudest guy in the locker room, that means good stuff's happening. And I'm like, oh, yeah, absolutely. And Ian said most of the guys can't sing. He said, except himself, he thinks he can sing, which I'll believe that when I hear it. I'm not sure I even want to hear it, but this club's having fun. This joy that they talk about sometimes, it looked like a fractured bunch before. I would get text messages in games earlier this year from people. Do these guys even like each other? Do RJ and Elliott like each other? Does Jay Witt like such and such? Because it looked like it on the court. When you're not playing well, it's going to look like it. Man, there's no question about it now. During the national anthem tonight, when Carolina was draped across the floor, Jay Wash had his right arm around Elliott and his left arm around Ian. They both had their arms around him. It was 3 people locked. Jay Witt, the louder guy, the guy who's helped bring the noise, the guy who triggered a lot of this stuff with his vitality. What this means is that everything is shifting in the right direction. Everything is. Now, it could come, it could splat against the wall Saturday night. But I'll tell you right now, I think that team lost that game in Durham before they got off the bus. That won't happen Saturday. When they get on over there, they're not going to have the same vibe they had a month ago. They're going to believe they can win the game. Mm-hmm. They didn't believe they could win the game. I'm speaking from my perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I was there too, and I tend to agree. I watched them go from the bus to inside, so I totally agree.
That's right. Yeah, so they didn't tell us they didn't believe it. It's just my perception that they didn't. My perception now is they think they can beat anybody anywhere. Mm-hmm. Is it false confidence? No, it's not false confidence. That they know they're so much better. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the things their head coach has been telling them, they're now doing more of. So he deserves the kudos too. Look, you and I, Jacob and I, were highly critical of Hubert.
Yep.
Highly critical through Clemson. He deserves kudos. He deserves kudos right now. It's his team. If he's going to get mud thrown on him when they suck, well, he should get praise when they don't suck. But right now, they don't suck. They have been way above not sucking. And they're getting better. So what this means is they've set something up Saturday to get a tremendous amount of hype. The fans that go in there are going to have a great deal of optimism. And they're going to be people like you and me all week thinking, well, do they have a chance? Do they have a chance? It's really easy to say, no, they don't. Because Duke is awesome. I covered Duke as well for years. I covered some great Coach K teams. This Duke team is supremely connected. But you know what? This North Carolina team is pretty damn connected right now, too. So we'll see.
Yep.
They've made the game matter. Bryant, they've made the game matter.
And that's all they can ask for. And we mentioned last week 3 things I believe Florida State was. We were saying they couldn't beat Duke in that Monday night in Tallahassee. They couldn't beat Duke tonight with their performance, but through this 6-game stretch, they could do the things and take necessary strides towards beating Duke. And that's all they could ask for, and that's what they've done. They put themselves in a position where they may not win, but we're asking ourselves and at least debating, do they have a chance? And after that Monday night in Clemson, the answer was a definitive no.
I'll close with this. What this means is for the next 3 days, people are going to discuss, do they have a chance? That night after Clemson, that never would have been a topic at all. But now at least it'll be asked. I don't know how many people are going to say yes. I'm sure people who are emotional, have an emotional attachment, will say yes. But the fact that that question can be debated can be discussed rather, tells you how far this team's come. And we'll see Saturday night.
Yep. Saturday night inside the Smith Center, the regular season finale, a chance for UNC to get a huge and much needed quad one win against Duke. But before we go, do not forget to follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave us a comment. We want to hear from you, whether it's about tonight or the game Saturday in Chapel Hill. We want to hear from you.
We will give away free THI. You never know; it could be you.
You never know if you don't follow and subscribe. But we'll see you on Saturday. For now, I'm Bryant, and from Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg, he's AJ.
Thanks.